Ladies and gentlemen, God said, if you don't work, don't eat. Many people wait for luck, but luck only comes to those who move. Think poor, stay poor, because poor thinking is more dangerous than being broke. Einstein said, we can't solve problems with the same thinking we used to create them. If your mind is full of fear, excuses, and blame, success won't stay. Change your mindset, not just your job. Poor is a condition, staying poor is a decision. Poor thinking creates invisible limits. This statement might sound harsh, but it's the brutal truth. Every successful person was once unknown, uncertain, and surrounded by doubt. What separated them from those who remained stuck wasn't their education, money, or connections. It was the way they thought. Thoughts shape beliefs, beliefs shape actions, and actions shape outcomes. When your thinking is rooted in fear, scarcity, or excuses, it becomes a wall that stops you from ever seeing what's possible beyond your current reality. From childhood, many people are conditioned to play it safe. Don't dream too big. That's not realistic. Be happy with what you have. These are the voices that echo around us. But these voices aren't protective, they're limiting. They come from a mindset of survival, not of growth. Poor thinking is about believing there's not enough to go around. It's the belief that success is only for the lucky or the privileged. It tells you, why try? You'll probably fail. That voice doesn't protect you, it paralyzes you. Poor thinking creates a lens through which people view the world, and that lens distorts everything. Opportunities look like risks. Challenges feel like threats. Learning appears like a waste of time. If someone is stuck in a poor mindset, they won't even recognize a breakthrough moment when it arrives. They'll explain it away, doubt it, or wait for the right time, which never comes. The real tragedy is not that people lack resources. It's that they lack the vision to use what they already have. When you think poor, your imagination shrinks. Your world becomes small. You stop asking bold questions like, what if? And start asking safe ones like, what's the minimum I can do? You negotiate with your dreams instead of chasing them. You compromise not because you must, but because your mind has already decided you can't win. This mindset is more dangerous than any external obstacle. You can fight a competitor. You can overcome failure. But how do you fight a mind that has already surrendered? Poor thinking is addicted to comfort. It loves routine. It avoids anything that causes discomfort, even if that discomfort leads to growth. If you're thinking poor, you'll avoid risks, delay action, and settle for less than you're capable of. You'll surround yourself with people who also think small because their presence won't challenge your worldview. But comfort is the enemy of progress. Comfort convinces you that effort isn't worth it, that failure is fatal, that trying is embarrassing, and with every passing day, your potential shrinks. This kind of mindset also feeds off blame. It's always someone else's fault: parents, the government, the boss, the economy. While some external factors are real, the poor thinker gives them all the power. Instead of asking, what can I do about it? They say, it's not my fault. This thinking kills initiative. It kills creativity. It convinces you that you are a victim of life rather than the author of your future. People with poor thinking wait for permission to act, for perfect timing, for someone to rescue them. And in waiting, they waste their lives. Poor thinking also shows up in how people treat time. They waste it. They underestimate it. They act like they have forever. But time is the most valuable currency, more than money, more than talent. A poor mindset doesn't plan. It reacts. It lives in distraction. It chooses short-term pleasure over long-term gain. It avoids discipline. It can't see the price of delay until it's too late. Every day is a chance to plant seeds to build something better. But when you think poor, you treat each day like it doesn't matter. One of the most subtle signs of poor thinking is the belief that knowledge is useless unless it guarantees results. That's why people stuck in this mindset consume without action. They'll watch motivational videos, read books, take notes, but do nothing because they don't believe in the power of small steps. They want certainty before they move. But growth never comes from perfect knowledge. It comes from imperfect action. The person who tries and fails learns more than the person who waits and watches. A poor mindset is also deeply insecure. It compares constantly. It resents success. When someone else wins, it feels like a personal loss. Instead of asking, what can I learn from them? It asks, why them and not me? This jealousy poisons growth. It blocks collaboration. It leads to gossip, not greatness. Successful people are students evidence of success. Poor thinkers are critics of it. They look for flaws, not for inspiration. They mock what they don't understand. And by doing so, they stay in the same place year after year. Thinking poor limits your identity. It convinces you that you are what your circumstances say you are. If you're broke, you're poor. If you failed, you're a failure. If people reject you, you're worthless. But you are not your bank balance. You are not your past. You are not your rejection. You are your vision. You are your effort. You are your ability to think differently. People who change their lives don't do it by changing their environment first. They change their thoughts first. Because when your mind shifts, everything else starts to follow. A poor mindset fears rejection. It's terrified of looking foolish. That fear keeps people from speaking up, from asking for help, from trying something new. But no one grows without rejection. No one wins without risk. Every dream requires a price, and one of the first payments is the willingness to be misunderstood or even laughed at. Poor thinkers need approval. They want to be liked more than they want to be free. And that need for comfort becomes a prison of their own making. Even in business, poor thinking is deadly. Entrepreneurs fail not because they lack a product or a service, but because they think small. They don't believe they deserve to win. They fear scaling. They underprice, over-apologize, and under-deliver. They let doubt run the company. But a rich mindset sees opportunity where others see cost. It invests where others hesitate. It adapts where others complain. The greatest companies started in garages, dorm rooms, or kitchens, not because of capital, but because of bold thinking. Poor thinking shows up in language. People say, I can't afford that, instead of, how can I afford that? They say, I'm not good at that, instead of, how can I learn that? Language is a mirror of mindset. The words you use train your brain to either expand or shrink. Pay attention to the way you talk about your challenges. Pay attention to the stories you repeat to yourself. If you speak like a victim, you'll act like one. If you speak like a winner, your brain starts looking for ways to win. Poor thinking is a trap that convinces people to stay where they are, even when the door is wide open. It tells them that playing small is safer, that dreaming big is dangerous, and that failure means it's time to quit. But the biggest risk is not failure, it's regret. People don't regret what they tried and failed at. They regret the chances they didn't take, the ideas they never chased, the life they never lived. And all of that starts with the thoughts they accepted as truth. Action attracts opportunity. This principle is often misunderstood, especially by those waiting for the perfect moment. The truth is, opportunities rarely knock on the door of those who sit still. They appear to those who are already moving, already building, already trying. Movement creates momentum. When you act, even if you're unsure, you send a signal to the world, and more importantly, to yourself, that you are ready to grow, ready to receive, and ready to adapt. That signal is powerful. It separates the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the builders. People often wait. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they've read more, studied more, asked more people. But readiness is an illusion. If you wait until you feel completely prepared, you'll wait forever. Action isn't the result of confidence, it's the path to it. You don't build courage by standing still. You build it by moving through uncertainty. Every time you take action, you get feedback. You learn, you grow. That process is what shapes success. Opportunity doesn't show up to validate your plans. It shows up when you have the courage to test them in the real world. Action builds credibility, not just with others, but with yourself. When you say, I'm going to do this, and then you actually do it, your mind begins to trust you. That self-trust is everything. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they don't believe themselves anymore. They've broken too many promises to themselves. But when you act, when you take even one small step, you start to rebuild that inner belief. You start to prove that you're not just full of ideas, you're full of follow-through. Inaction breeds fear. When you stay still, your mind fills with doubts, scenarios, and what-ifs. The more you wait, the louder those voices get. Action silences those voices, not because it eliminates fear, but because it gives you something else to focus on, progress. When you move, your mind shifts from what if it fails to what's next. That shift is what builds momentum. And momentum is where breakthroughs live. People who keep moving, no matter how small the steps, eventually crash into opportunities simply because they're on the road. Opportunities aren't hidden treasures waiting to be found. They are revealed through effort. You don't discover your big break while sitting on the couch. You stumble upon it while trying something else. Many successful people found their greatest opportunity while pursuing something completely different. That's not luck. That's action creating exposure. When you act, you meet new people. You uncover new problems. You learn what doesn't work. All of that becomes information you couldn't get any other way. The world rewards motion, not intention. Every action you take is a seed. Some grow fast, some take time, but none grow if they are never planted. People complain about not having opportunities, but they haven't planted anything. No content created, no products launched, no skills learned, no risks taken. They want results from seeds they never sowed. The successful aren't smarter. They're simply planters. They act, they test, they try again. Over time, those seeds become a field of options, partnerships, and possibilities. But it starts with planting through action. Action also increases visibility. People notice those who do. The world has too many spectators. It respects players. When you act, people start to pay attention. Opportunities are often tied to people, mentors, partners, clients, investors. None of them will appear if they can't see you. You become visible by acting. That blog post you publish, that pitch you make, that event you attend. Each one is a beacon that signals your presence. People can't help you if they don't know you exist. Action makes you findable. Action beats perfection. Most people don't start because they want it to be perfect. But perfection is a moving target. While you're trying to perfect version 1, someone else is on version 5. They're learning faster because they're failing faster. They're adapting because they're interacting with reality. The need to be perfect is rooted in fear, fear of judgment, fear of failure. But real success doesn't come from being flawless. It comes from being brave enough to be seen in your early, messy stages. Every master started as a beginner who was willing to be imperfect. Taking action also rewires your identity. The moment you do something, no matter how small, you begin to shift your story. You are no longer someone who wants to write a book. You're writing one. You're not someone who thinks about starting a business. You've started. Identity is shaped by action. You become what you repeatedly do. This is how habits form, confidence builds, and new realities emerge. Thoughts don't change your life until they turn into behavior. And behavior doesn't have to be massive to be meaningful. Consistent, small actions compound over time. There's also a hidden reward in action clarity. Many people sit around waiting to find their passion or figure things out. But clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. You don't discover your strengths by imagining them. You find them through trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again. Each step you take reveals something new. You begin to realize what excites you, what drains you, what works, and what doesn't. Action is a mirror. It reflects the truth. Without it, you're just guessing. Action attracts other action takers. When you move, you draw in people who are also moving. This creates energy, synergy, collaboration. One person's step forward can inspire another's. Communities are built on shared motion. The fastest way to level up your environment is to become the kind of person others want to work with. That only happens when you're doing something. Talking about goals is one thing. Working on them is something else entirely. The right people will find you once you start becoming one of them through consistent action. Fear of failure keeps many people from acting, but failure through action is better than success through inaction. You can fix a mistake, you can learn from a loss, but you can't grow from something you never tried. Action is a teacher. Every move you make gives you new information, new awareness, new data. Sitting still teaches you nothing. People say, what if I fail? The better question is, what if I don't try? Because failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Every failure through action gets you one step closer to the opportunity you're looking for. Taking action also builds resilience. It forces you to face discomfort. It pushes you to manage rejection, criticism, and uncertainty. And with each obstacle you overcome, your capacity grows. You become tougher, wiser, more focused. Action isn't just about achieving goals. It's about who you become while pursuing them. The real prize is the transformation. Every time you push through resistance, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your doubts. That strength doesn't come from theory, it comes from action. Waiting is a form of self-sabotage disguised as preparation. There's a difference between planning and stalling. Planning has a deadline. Stalling has excuses. You'll never feel completely ready. You'll never eliminate all risks. At some point, you just have to move. Take the first step. Speak up. Build something. Post something. Launch something. The worst that happens is you learn. The best that happens is everything changes. But none of it can happen if you don't start. The future doesn't belong to those who hope. It belongs to those who hustle. Mindset must evolve to solve new problems. The challenges that await you tomorrow cannot be overcome with the thinking you used yesterday. What got you here will not get you there. Life constantly shifts, markets change, relationships evolve, technology advances, and with every change comes a new set of problems. If your thinking remains fixed, if your mindset stays static, you will always find yourself unprepared, overwhelmed, and frustrated. The most powerful upgrade in life is not external, it is internal. It is the transformation of how you see, think, and respond. Many people try to solve new problems with old patterns. They react the same way they did in the past, hoping things will work out differently. But recycled thinking recycles results. If you approach modern problems with outdated logic, you will always feel stuck. Evolution in mindset doesn't just mean learning new information, it means unlearning old limitations. The way you were taught to see the world might have been useful once, but growth requires shedding what no longer serves you. Clinging to outdated perspectives is like trying to run new software on a broken operating system. It crashes under pressure. Mindset is not just a tool for motivation, it is the framework that determines your choices. It is how you interpret failure, how you view effort, how you define success. A fixed mindset sees problems as threats. A growth mindset sees problems as teachers. Those with evolved thinking don't panic when problems arise. They become curious, they ask better questions. They lean in rather than shut down. The difference in outcome begins with the difference in mental response. The person who grows is the one who adapts mentally before they act physically. People often want better lives, but they resist the mental shifts required to sustain those lives. You cannot hold a millionaire's lifestyle with a scarcity mindset. You cannot maintain healthy relationships with a mindset rooted in insecurity. You cannot build innovation with a mindset that fears failure. Every level of life demands a new level of thought. It's not about working harder, it's about thinking better. Evolving your mindset means you no longer approach life with default settings. You reprogram the way you process challenges, opportunities, and setbacks. Your mindset is like a filter. It determines what you notice, what you ignore, and what you value. If your filter is broken, you will miss the very opportunities designed to change your life. A fearful mindset will filter the world through danger, always seeing what could go wrong. An entitled mindset filters through expectation, always assuming the world owes something. But a growth mindset filters through responsibility and learning. It asks, what can I do? What can I learn? What can I improve? Those questions open doors. They create forward motion. As your life expands, your problems will become more complex. What was once a breakthrough becomes a baseline. If your mindset does not grow alongside your circumstances, you will always feel behind. Success can become stressful if your inner world is not developed to match it. Some people sabotage growth, not because they don't want it, but because they're mentally unprepared to carry it. Their self-image hasn't caught up with their potential. They doubt themselves in the face of new responsibility because their thinking is still tied to who they were, not who they are becoming. Evolving your mindset also means embracing discomfort. Growth is not convenient. New problems stretch you. They force you to develop patience, strategy, communication, and vision. If your mindset avoids discomfort, it will avoid the very experiences that build character. The most successful people aren't the ones with the fewest problems. They're the ones with the most advanced thinking to solve them. They lean into difficulty with purpose. They view discomfort as a signal, not a stop sign. They understand that emotional endurance is a muscle built through mental maturity. A stagnant mindset creates a fragile life. The moment something goes wrong, it crumbles. But an evolved mindset creates resilience. It doesn't deny difficulty. It develops the capacity to face it. When problems appear, your mindset determines whether you react with panic or with perspective. It decides whether you shut down or show up. If your mindset is built only for ease, the moment life becomes hard, you'll withdraw. But if it's built through challenge, you'll rise. Your ability to adapt, adjust, and keep moving is the direct result of how you train your thinking. Evolving your mindset is not a one-time shift. It's a continuous process. Every new season of life brings new lessons, and those lessons will challenge your previous understanding. What you once believed to be true might be exposed as incomplete. This is not failure, it's growth. Humility is required. The willingness to be wrong is essential. An evolving mind is a teachable mind. It's not rigid but responsive. It doesn't protect the ego, it protects progress. Pride blocks evolution. Curiosity fuels it. The people you surround yourself with can either reinforce old thinking or stretch you toward new thought. If everyone around you thinks the same, acts the same, and fears the same, your growth will stall. To evolve your mindset, you must sometimes outgrow your environment. Seek out those who challenge your assumptions. Listen to those who think differently. Exposure to new ideas, even if they make you uncomfortable, is one of the fastest ways to grow mentally. Stagnation thrives in isolation. Expansion thrives in diversity. Mindset evolution is also about responsibility. It's about no longer blaming the past, the system, the circumstances. It's the moment you decide that, regardless of what happens, you will find a way forward. Problems don't disappear when you evolve your thinking. They become solvable. They become opportunities. The victim mindset says, why is this happening to me? The evolved mindset says, what can I create from this? That shift is everything. It turns obstacles into fuel. It transforms challenges into building blocks. When your mindset evolves, you stop seeing yourself as separate from the solution. You realize that you are not powerless. You have agency, creativity, and resilience. You begin to trust your ability to navigate the unknown. Life becomes less about avoiding problems and more about growing through them. This internal shift is subtle but profound. The world may still be chaotic, but your mind becomes clear. You begin to move with intention. You stop waiting for perfect conditions and start building your capacity to thrive in imperfect ones. The most powerful transformations often happen in silence. No applause, no recognition. Just quiet moments where your thinking changes. A breakthrough doesn't always feel dramatic. Sometimes it's a single thought that challenges your old belief, a single moment where you decide to respond differently. These are the seeds of evolution. They grow over time into a new mindset that can handle more, dream bigger, and create deeper impact. Change your thinking, and you change the questions you ask. Change your questions, and you change the solutions you find. Some people resist this growth because they associate change with loss. But evolving your mindset doesn't mean losing who you are. It means becoming more of who you were always capable of being. You don't abandon your past. You outgrow its limitations. You build on it. You expand it. The caterpillar is not less than the butterfly. It's simply the beginning. Your current mindset may have served you, but it is not your ceiling. You were not meant to live one version of yourself. You were meant to evolve through experience, wisdom, and insight. Every person who has achieved anything significant has undergone a mindset transformation. They started with fear, with self-doubt, with confusion. But they moved forward anyway. They allowed experience to shape their perspective. They let go of childish beliefs, replaced them with mature frameworks, and developed the kind of thinking that could hold success. Comfort zones are invisible prisons. They don't come with locks or guards, yet they hold more people back than any external obstacle ever could. The danger lies in how comfortable they feel. The familiar routines, predictable outcomes, and low risk make it seem like you're safe. But comfort is deceptive. It whispers that progress can wait. It convinces you that growth is optional. It tricks you into trading your potential for temporary ease. And in that trade, you lose time, opportunity, and the version of yourself you were meant to become. The comfort zone is not about physical space. It's a mental boundary. It's where your current habits, beliefs, and routines operate without challenge. It's where you avoid failure because you don't try anything new. It's where you avoid judgment because you don't stand out. But the moment you step outside that boundary, everything changes. You feel fear, discomfort, uncertainty. That's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're growing. Growth and comfort cannot coexist. One must give way to the other. You either expand beyond your limits or you stay defined by them. Most people remain in their comfort zones not because they lack ambition, but because they fear what lies beyond. They worry about making mistakes, being laughed at, or failing publicly. But what they fail to realize is that staying put is also a decision with its own risks. The risk of regret, the risk of becoming stagnant, the risk of never knowing what they could have been. Inaction has consequences too. It slowly erodes your confidence, drains your spirit, and creates a life that feels smaller than your dreams. The cage isn't locked, but most won't push the door. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't require giant leaps. It starts with small acts of courage, speaking up in a meeting, starting a side project, having the difficult conversation. Taking the first step isn't about being fearless, it's about being brave enough to move despite fear. Every time you act beyond what's familiar, you expand your comfort zone. What once felt impossible becomes manageable. What once triggered anxiety becomes routine. That's how growth works. It stretches you little by little until one day you look back and realize you've become someone stronger, bolder, more capable. The illusion of safety inside the comfort zone is what keeps people stuck. But nothing inside that zone is guaranteed. Jobs are lost. Markets crash. Relationships change. What's safe today may be gone tomorrow. True security doesn't come from clinging to what's familiar. It comes from building the capacity to adapt. That capacity is only developed outside the comfort zone. It's in the moments of pressure, uncertainty, and trial that you learn what you're really made of. You discover strengths you didn't know you had. You build resilience that can't be taught in theory. Comfort can feel like success if you're not paying attention. You may have a stable income, a routine lifestyle, and a sense of control. But if you're not growing, you're not living, you're just existing, there is a difference between being alive and feeling alive. Growth is what gives life color, purpose, and energy. The excitement of learning something new, the pride of overcoming a challenge, the thrill of chasing a dream, these are the things that create meaning. And none of them can be found inside a bubble of comfort. People often wait for the right time to step outside their comfort zones. They want conditions to be perfect, risks to be minimal, and outcomes to be guaranteed. But that moment never arrives. Growth requires action before certainty. You don't wait until the fear goes away. You move while carrying it. You don't wait until you know everything. You learn as you go. Waiting is a strategy of avoidance. Acting is a strategy of transformation. And transformation only begins when you stop negotiating with your limitations and start confronting them. The comfort zone is not just about avoiding fear, it's about avoiding responsibility. As long as you stay within your current boundaries, you don't have to face the pressure of rising expectations. You don't have to fail or succeed or be seen trying. But avoiding responsibility means avoiding power. You can't become the leader, the innovator, the change maker while hiding from discomfort. Responsibility is the gateway to influence, and it always requires you to grow beyond what's easy. You were not built to shrink. You were built to stretch, to build, to rise. Leaving the comfort zone is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. Each level of growth presents new edges to push against. As soon as something becomes easy, it's a sign you've outgrown it. That doesn't mean you abandon everything. It means you keep finding ways to challenge yourself. The highest performers in any field aren't just talented. They're disciplined in staying uncomfortable. They keep learning, failing, adjusting, and trying again. They've learned to find peace in pressure and clarity in chaos because they've trained for it by choosing growth over ease repeatedly. The mind will resist leaving the comfort zone. It will present logical sounding excuses. Now's not the time. You're not ready. Maybe later. These voices are not warnings. They're defenses. Your mind's job is to keep you safe, not successful. But safety and stagnation often come in the same package. You must learn to distinguish between real danger and imagined discomfort. Most of the fear we feel is not based on actual risk. It's based on the unknown. And the unknown is where all potential lies. If you want a different life, you have to go where you've never been. Growth demands new environments, new conversations, new risks. It demands that you break the loop of repetition and step into spaces that require a higher version of you. That version isn't built by thinking about it, it's built through action. You don't become brave by reading about bravery. You become brave by doing the thing that scares you. Repetition builds comfort. Courage builds transformation. You must decide which path you want to walk, the one that keeps you safe or the one that sets you free. Most people who achieve greatness have a high tolerance for discomfort. They don't enjoy it, but they've learned not to fear it. They've experienced the rewards that come from moving forward when everything inside them wanted to stop. And those rewards are not just external, money, status, recognition. They're internal, self-respect, confidence, purpose. These are the things that can't be bought. They must be earned through experience, challenge, and the willingness to step beyond what's easy. Your comfort zone will always be there. You can return to it if you need to regroup, rest, or recover. But it cannot be your permanent home. If it is, you will outlive your potential. You will settle for good enough and call it a life. But there is more in you, more skill, more power, more purpose. To access it, you must be willing to go where you are stretched. That might mean failing in public. It might mean being misunderstood. It might mean being uncomfortable for a while, but discomfort is temporary. Growth is lasting. Your future is on the other side of what you currently fear. It's hidden behind the door marked uncertain. And that's why most people never find it. They choose the hallway of the familiar over the room of possibility. But the few who step through, who challenge their comfort zones consistently, are the ones who unlock new levels of life. Not because they're better, but because they're bolder. They've decided that the pain of staying the same is worse than the pain of change. And that decision is the turning point for everything.